Hello guys, this is Dr. Possibility from Excel Academy. Kindly make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you register with Excel Academy. In this video, I am just going to explain on how to label some few diagrams from week 2 of embryologic development. So we need to understand that in week 2, the embryo is trying to implant itself into the uterus walls. And during week 2, we need to understand that there will be a circulation which will be formed, and this circulation is known as the utero-placental circulation. In the same week of week 2, you need to understand that the embryo will divide into two layers, which is the epiblast and the hypoblast. There will also be features such as the coagulum fibrin, features such as the lacuna. So let's quickly get started and look at some few diagrams that we can focus on. So the first diagram we have been given is to label this diagram. So if you look at A is simply the trophoblastic lacuna, and this normally takes place on day 9. So you need to understand that one special feature of day 1 is that there will be the formation of the lacuna, and this lacuna will keep on entering into the uterus walls until they come into contact with the sinusoid blood vessels of the uterus. So B was just simply talking about the blood vessels. Then when you talk of C, you need to understand that C is coming from the outer layer of the embryo, and the outer layer is known as the syncytial blast, and the inner layer is known as the cytotrophoblast. So in this case, C is just the syncytial blast, which is the outermost layer of the embryo. Then D is just the cytotrophoblast. So the syncytial blast and the cytotrophoblast, they are the ones that are making the trophoblast, which is the outer layer of the embryo or the blastocyst. Then when you talk of E is the cavity which has been created by the epiblast. So remember, in week 2 we have two important features, the epiblast and the hypoblast. So in this case, the epiblast will continue dividing to produce a cavity known as the amniotic cavity, and this amniotic cavity will give a slight name to the cells which are near to the cytotrophoblast, and these cells are known as the amnioblast. But I'm not interested in that because that is not part of this task. Then when you talk of F is just the epiblast, then G is the hypoblast, and then when you talk of H is the exochromic membrane. H is the exochromic membrane. And then there is this part which is a very important part, which is known as the fibrin coagulum. This fibrin coagulum, it's normally closes the uterus walls. So you have the uterus walls, and this is where the embryo or the blastocyst has to penetrate through. So there is this opening which has to be sealed, and this opening is sealed on on day 9, and the sealing is known as the fibrin coagulum. Then J is simply the primitive yolk sac, and this primitive yolk sac is just next to the hypoblast. All right, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you register with the Excel academy. So let's quickly move on and look at the next diagram. So in this diagram, we have been taught to label this diagram. So just like from the previous slide, you need to understand that this is the what? Trophoblastic lacuna. So this is the trophoblastic lacuna. Okay, this is just the trophoblastic lacuna. And then if you look at B are just the what? The maternal sinusoid or the blood vessels. You can say blood vessels, or you can just simply say the maternal sinusoid. The maternal sinusoid. Okay. So you need to understand that this is just a group of blood vessels or capillaries of the what? Of the maternal. Then if you look at C, you need to understand that it is coming from the what? From the hypoblast. So this part, this yellow guy is the hypoblast. But this hypoblast has given rise to other cells. And these cells which are derived from the hypoblast are known as what? Endoderm. So these are just the endodermal cells. So these endoderm cells, they are the ones which will lead to the formation of the what? Of the endodermal layer, which is part of the what? Trilaminar germ layer. Then when you talk of D is in between F and G. Sorry, F and E. D is in between F and E, which is more like a cavity-like structure. And this is known as the what? Extra embryonic column. So we have this as the extra embryonic column. Okay, extra embryonic column. Okay, and this extra embryonic column is just in between the extra embryonic splachnoprenic mesoderm and extra embryonic somatopleural mesoderm. So meaning the outermost, the one which is on the outermost near this cavity, you need to understand that this is just the extra embryonic splachnopleural mesoderm. Okay, so that's the part which is labeled with E. Then the part which is labeled with F is the somatopleural. So you have the extra embryonic somatopleural mesoderm. So which is another type of layer which is coming from the intra-embryonic mesoderm. Then you have G. G is simply the exocholic mesoderm, a membrane, sorry. So G is known as the what? Exocolomic, sorry for the spelling. So when you talk of E is just the G is just the exocholomic membrane. All right. So that's G. Then H is just the primitive yolk sac. H is just the primitive yolk sac. All right. So let me quickly move on and look at this other diagram. So when you look at this diagram, we simply have A. So if you look at A is just the bucopharyngeal membrane. So the bucopharyngeal membrane, it is where normally the endoderm and the ectoderm interact. So this part is just the bucopharyngeal membrane, the future mouth. Okay. Then B is simply the primary villi. So at this stage, the primary villi have been what? Have been formed. And then this is likely to be day 12, the 10 to 12. That's where you can see these features. Then C are just the trophoblastic lacuna. Then D are just the maternal sinusoid. Then E is a connective stalk. So the connective stalk, which is just the future umbilical cord, which is just the future umbilical cord. And then when you look at F is just the amniotic cavity from the epiblast, and then you have G, which is the secondary yolk sac. We had the primitive yolk sac, and here you can label it as the secondary yolk sac. Then H is simply the extra embryonic somatopluric mesoderm, which is just the chorionic plate. Then I is simply the extra embryonic column, which is just can be said as the at the chorionic cavity. Then J, which is new here, and this J is simply the exocolic or exocolomic cyst. So these are just few diagrams which you need to take note of when you talk of what? When you talk of week 2 of development. When you talk of week 2 of development, these are just the diagrams you need to take note. Remember, there is another important diagram you need to take note, which is day 8. There is a tutorial video on that which I recently posted, so please make sure that you watch that video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and please make sure that you register with Excel Academy. Thank you very much for joining me. This was Dr. Possibility from Excel Academy.